All right, what is going on, guys? UFC 308, Max Holloway or Ilya Topuria versus Max Holloway has just ended, and this is going to be my full post-fight reactions to every fight. Holding back tears, but we'll get to that later. Opening up the prelims, we have Rinat Fakhretdinov versus Carlos Leal. This was actually a robbery, in my opinion. Brutal robbery. I thought Carlos clearly won rounds 1 and 2. I did score the third round for Rinat Fakhretdinov. But in the first and second round, he was defending the takedowns. Carlos was defending the takedowns good, landing the better shots in the feet, landing good kicks. It was like every time Rinat would go in for a takedown, he would just get stuffed. And, if he would get anything momentarily, he would immediately get back up to his feet. And then the second round, Fakhretdinov did come back a little bit, but I didn't think it was even close enough. Fakhretdinov would land one good shot, and Carlos would go back with 3 or 4 in return. Round 3, I feel like he thought he was down 2 rounds. By the way he was fighting, he came out strong, came out fast, and Carlos looked gassed in the third round, which he had a pretty good output in the first and second round, which I thought he won clearly the first and second round. I don't know. Some of his judges tonight were kind of weird, like they have been over the past couple months of fights. So I thought clear win. I picked Rinat Fakhretdinov to win, but I thought it was a clear win for Carlos Leal. So hopefully, I believe he took this fight on short notice, so hopefully they give him another chance. Moving on. This is going to be hard, guys. Just bear with me here. Moving on, we have Ismail Naurdiev. I can't say these damn names, man. Ismail Naurdiev. There we go. I'll get it. I'll get it eventually. Versus Bruno Silva. This fight, and there was a couple fights like this. Essentially the same thing for 3 rounds. Ismail outstruck him, outgrappled him for all 3 rounds. I gave Naurdiev all 3 rounds. It was pretty clear cut. Bruno Silva probably needs cut from the UFC. He had really nothing to offer, especially outside of the first round. He had pretty much nothing to offer. It was just him getting outstruck and outgrappled. That was the whole fight. I'm surprised Alex Pereira didn't finish him, looking back at it. So, I don't really have too much to say about that one. Similar enough to this one. We have Ferreira Basharat versus Victor Hugo. Victor Hugo misses weight. Well, wasn't going to make the weight, so they went ahead and moved this to featherweight. So, he already has the advantage there. He didn't have to do the weight cut. Excuse me. Immediately in round 1, Hugo was pressuring right away. Ferreira fires a right hand, hits him, lands pretty good, and he kind of backs off a little bit. I think most of that first round, it was Victor pressuring and landing good shots. I think it was towards the end of the round, he dives for a leg lock and loses position. He does end up getting back up. I actually scored the first round for Victor Hugo. If I look, let's see. Yeah, judges scored it 229-28 and 130-27 for Basharat. I gave Hugo the first round, and I scored the second and third round for Ferreira Basharat. He landed the better shots in the striking for second and third round. It seems like Hugo was just, after that first round, Hugo was just looking for that one KO shot, and he wasn't able to find it, unlike in the main event. So yeah, clear win, I thought, for Ferreira Basharat. Won rounds 2 and 3. Had better, in those rounds, better striking and more control time. Moving up to this kind of boring fight. Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Chris Barnett. Essentially what you have happen is Chris Barnett, when he was getting introduced by Bruce Buffer, jumped, and I don't know if it was the same foot that he had hurt previously or not, but he had injured one of his feet, compromised it, and then, that continued to deteriorate into the fight, and that's essentially how he lost. And Nzechukwu was backing him up almost immediately, getting him up against the fence, just landing shots pretty much wherever he wanted. And Nzechukwu would come in, and then Barnett would try to throw some big winging punches because he's 5'9". He's short for heavyweight. And Zejiku is ginormous. He's 6'5". So, he needs to, like, get in shape. And, like, I'm 5'8", and I'm fat and obese. I'm not that fat and obese, but I'm pretty damn close. There's no way if I was ever going to fight anybody that I would be fighting at heavyweight with that big fat belly. Honestly, Barnett needs to take some time off, heal up. Then they need to, come back. Don't rush into anything. Because from the commentary team is making it sound like he rushed back from his Achilles injury. Or Jamal Hill took like a year off. Chris Barnett came back after 3 months, I think they said. So definitely needs to take some time off. Moving up the card, great fight. Abus Magomedov versus Bruno Ferreira. I think I said that right. This was a really good, exciting fight. This whole event was exciting. Except the main event. It was depressing. Anyway. Very first round, Abus landed good shots, good teeps to the body. Bruno kind of not able to get his rhythm down and find the mark on Abus. So I thought it was pretty easy, clear. Abus Magomedov, 10-9 in the first round. That's what I scored it. Moving into the second round, Bruno rocks Abus very badly. He hits him. I can't remember what it was with. It might have been a straight right, and then Abus was going in for the leg, the takedown, and then Bruno kicks him in the head and rocks him even more. Now, to credit to Abus, he does end up securing the takedown. And kind of the rest of the round is Abus trying to recover and keep securing control and the takedown over Bruno, and Bruno kind of escaping. So he couldn't finish him, but that was easily a 10-9 round for Bruno Ferreira. Drew to dropping and rocking Abus Magomedov very badly. Going into the third round, Abus kind of seemed a little timid to me, like he was still hurt a little bit and did not want to get hit badly. And you could tell because Bruno was starting to go for him, and then Abus got him down pretty much immediately. He gets back up, and then Abus says, "Fuck that shit, I'm not doing this again. I felt your power." And he just does like a blast double leg and takes Bruno Ferreira down. I think they ended up in half guard, or it might have been 3/4 mount. But Abus ends up locking up the head and arm choke and gets the submission in the third round. I mean, even if he could just keep the control and do damage from top position, he could have still won via decision. But it was very good that Abus got that finish in the third round after facing some adversity from being rocked. So, very good fight. Moving on. I actually missed... I probably should have went back and watched it because it was a split decision, but I didn't. I missed the first round of this fight. Mateusz Rebecki versus... Oh, gosh. Magomedov Orolbai. I can say his last name. I can't say his first name. All I know is I came in when it was the beginning of the second round. They're getting ready to like, fighter, you ready? Fighter, you ready? And I just see a big ass bubble on Orolbai's face. I'm like, holy shit, what happened? I actually thinking about it, I really should have went back and watched that first round. But from the second and third round, I thought Rebecki, and especially that third round, he had like that should have like low key that should have been stopped. He completely gassed himself out going for that finish, but he had Orolbai hurt very badly in that third round, and Orolbai was just in straight survival mode. And if he had a little bit more steam, he might have been able to finish Rebecki in the last round there. Like, I don't think he had enough time. If there was like another minute, I could see him potentially being able to finish him because he was so gassed out from trying to finish Orolbai. I thought it was a pretty clear, though, even though I only saw the 2 rounds. I thought the second round was pretty close, but I edged it out for Mateusz Rebecki, and then the third round was clearly Rebecki, even though towards the end he was kind of getting hit. So the first loss and then the UFC for Orolbai, I think he's only had 2 losses in a professional career, so he'll definitely bounce back. Uh-oh, something's going on. But he needs to take some time off. Moving on up the card, we have Jeff Neal versus Rafael dos Santos. Sad fight to watch. Right away, Jeff Neal just pouring the pressure on RDA, and you can tell a clear difference in size and stature. I don't believe it has his height listed on here, but you can tell the difference in RDA is definitely a lightweight, and Jeff Neal is definitely a welterweight. He comes out strong, smashing RDA on the feet, drops him. He gets back up, and then he throws a combination, and then RDA kind of falls to the ground. I didn't even think, when I was watching it live, I didn't go back and check, but when I was watching it live, I didn't even think those shots really landed that well. But when he fell, he was holding his knee. So they didn't really say much on the replay, but something had to do with the knee. But the writing was on the wall. Like, even if that knee didn't get injured, I could see him getting KO'd or TKO'd in the first round regardless. Even though I picked Jeff Neal via decision. Sad, RDA, they just need to give him fun fights. I don't know why they keep giving him these killers in every... I know he went on a stint where, I think it was like 2 fights in a row. He had like some pretty timid, easy matchups. Like, I know Brian Barbereno is one of them. I can't remember the other one off the top of my head. It might have been Gunnar Nelson, but I could be just pulling that out of my butt. But yeah, if RDA is going to continue to fight, they just need to just give him easy matchups. He doesn't need to be in the rankings anymore. I'm assuming after this, they're going to take him out of the lightweight rankings. He doesn't need to be ranked at lightweight anymore. Anyway, I was going to say moving up the card, I actually didn't watch this fight. Didn't give a shit. I had stuff going on. Looks like he won pretty quickly in the first round. I should have went back and rewatched it just because it was less than a minute. But from the sounds of it and from the stuff I saw on Twitter, he just got smashed. Moving on. The opener of the pay-per-view. Great fight. This was a great fight. Kind of in the first round, we have Magomedov versus Armen Petrosyan. First round, Petrosyan's coming out strong. Okay, he's landing good shots. He's really chopping the legs of Magomedov, and it almost looks like, I don't want to say he's going to get broad checked, but it almost looks like Petrosyan's going to come out and take Magomedov out, like he's going to dominate this fight. But then the back half of the round, Magomedov starts to take over, and I believe he did more damage in the first round, even though it was kind of halfway through. He started piling up steam. So I scored the first round for Magomedov, although it was a very close round. The second round was a little ridiculous. It ended up ending in the second round, but the ridiculous part was, I think there was like 4 or 5 nut shots. Petrosyan landed, I think it was 4. I think Petrosyan landed 3 of them, and Magomedov landed 1 of them. And I think 2 of them, they didn't even stop. Like, Magomedov's like, no, we're just going to keep fighting. It's like, man, after you land like 1 nut shot, I think they need to, tell him, if you land another one, I'm taking a point. Like, that goes for any foul. You do 1 eye poke, and the fight can continue, and you do another eye poke, that's immediately a point taken. I think it should be any foul you do, after 1 warning, you get a point taken. But yeah, he had those nut shots. Magomedov was winning that round, and you could see the momentum start going towards the Magomedov. And then, 10 seconds left, he goes for a double spinning back fist and KOs Armen Petrosyan. He goes for the first one, gets blocked, then he spins the other way and hits him. It's kind of almost with the forearm. Wasn't even the fist, it was kind of the forearm. And Petrosyan just falls to the ground, doggy style position, covering up. Like, he didn't want anything else. He was done. After that, dropped him. He was done. I don't think he was actually knocked out. I think it was maybe, if anything, it was probably a flash knockout, and he was just hurt so badly. But yeah, great fight. Great fight to open up the pay-per-view. Moving on. Another great fight. Unfortunately, I wanted Danny Ige to win. We got Lerone Murphy versus Danny Ige. I picked Lerone Murphy to win, and kind of how rounds 2 and 3 went is how I thought the whole fight would go. First round, Ige's pressuring immediately right off the bat. getting Murphy up against the cage, which if he wanted to win this fight, that's how he was going to do it. And unfortunately, he could not do that over the 3 rounds. A little bit of grappling in the first round. Not a whole lot. Ige does get a takedown, but he doesn't really do much with it. And at the end of the round, Ige drops Murphy badly. Hurts him bad. In the post-fight, I think he said he got knocked down, flash KO'd. So, but he wasn't able to finish him. He tried to... You could tell he didn't want to, like, completely gas out, just throwing wild stuff, trying to finish the fight. But I think after that, I don't know if that adrenaline dump kind of stunted his gas tank. But after that, it just wasn't the same. Second round, they come out, and I scored the first round for Ige. Second round, they come out. You could tell Murphy's very tentative. The second round was kind of boring round. It goes a little bit better towards the end, but you could tell Murphy is still hurt. He's still recovering from that shot in the first round, and he's super tentative. They're both tentative on the feet, and Murphy's kind of just pitter-pattering from range, but he's landing the better of the strikes. So I'm giving this round to Murphy, and then towards the end, I can't remember how they got there, but I remember Ige ended up in a triangle. I think it was like the last 30 seconds left. But again, Murphy really, really hesitant from being hurt. I gave that round to Murphy. Moving to the third round, you could tell his momentum starting to pick up more, and that's kind of how I thought the whole fight would go. How the third round went is kind of how I thought the whole fight was going to go, even though I knew Danny could land that one shot and knock him out cold. Oh. Breathe. Okay, I'm going to try and continue, guys. At some point, Ige did go in for a takedown, but he didn't really do much with it. Murphy got up, landed the better of the shots. It's kind of what the game plan to beating Danny Ige. Use a little bit of grappling, mix everything in, keep him at range, and I scored at 29-28 for Murphy, and that's, I believe all 3 judges also scored at 28-28 for Murphy. Moving up, featured fight. We have Magomed Ankalaev versus Alexander Rakic. This was a good fight, kind of. It was not terrible. It wasn't the best fight. The thing that I'm slightly confused about is the commentary team and people online. I don't know if they're just trolling. The people online, the commentary team obviously isn't, but I saw people online and even the coaches of Rakic were saying that he was up 2-0 going into the third round. And I feel like Rakic was kind of coasting in that third round because his coaches told him he was up 2-0. I actually scored all 3 rounds for Magomed Ankalaev. All 3 rounds. He landed the better strikes. Now, I think if there is a round you're going to give Rakic, it's probably the first round, if I remember correctly. I think Rakic was landing the best of his leg kicks in the first. I can't remember if it was the first or second round where Rakic landed some pretty solid leg kicks, which is, I thought Rakic was going to win like that, but he just wasn't chopping the leg like Jan Blachowicz was, just constantly chopping the leg over and over again. But yeah, I thought Ankalaev outstruck him essentially all 3 rounds. I scored all 3 rounds for Ankalaev. And he should be next for Alex Pereira. There's no other... He shouldn't have even had to take this fight. He should just be the next one to fight Alex Pereira. There's literally nobody else in the top of the light heavyweight division to fight Alex Pereira. And I don't know. I think Ankalaev does have a good chance at beating Pereira. Pereira is kind of old. I think he's like 37. His last fight was somewhat of a war with Khalil Roundtree. He lost, what was it, like the first 2 or 3 rounds? I think that was the first 2 rounds. But yeah. The crazy part was the judges scored at 29-28 for Ankalaev. I couldn't see... Again, maybe you could edge one out for Rakic just based on leg kicks, but as far as strikes to the head and body, he was throwing... I think it was the first round. He landed like a couple good kicks to the head that wrapped around, like, because Ankalaev would have his hand up, but they kind of wrapped around to the side of the head or almost the back of the head. So maybe you could give him the first round. 29-28 is not outrageous, but I thought it was a clear 30-27 for Magomedov Ankalaev. Should be next in line for the title at 205. Moving up, co-main event. Exactly how I guessed it. Fight starts off. You have, they kind of trade a couple shots standing. I think Rob landed a leg kick, and then Khamzat went for a head kick, missed it, and then I think he threw a punch and then just shot him for a takedown immediately, got him against the fence. And then they did some scrambling for a while. Rob would defend, Khamzat would adjust, and he was kind of floating between taking the back, having Whittaker in turtle, just kind of floating around to those positions. Eventually finding the rear naked choke in the first round, like I predicted. Now, it was more of a jaw. Like he was probably just going to break his jaw. It wasn't really a choke. It was more of a neck. I guess it wasn't even a neck crank. He tapped almost immediately. Like, my wife was standing next to me. I'm like, damn, he must have one hell of a squeeze, because he tapped super. Like, as soon as Chimaev had his hand locked behind Robert's head and was starting to squeeze, he immediately tapped. I know some of those grapplers have a very tight squeeze, but that was a fast tap. And I don't blame him. I know what it's like. I was going to say I know what it's like to be choked. But not like that. And especially when someone's not actually choking you, they're just on your jaw, I try not to tap. But sometimes you have someone who's really muscular and strong like Chimaev is, and they get on your jaw like that. I would rather tap than break my jaw. So, even if he got out of that, I still think Chimaev was going to win. Maybe not in the first round, but he was probably still going to win. But there's nobody else next. You have to book Khamzat Chimaev versus Dricus du Plessis for the middleweight title. I would be super excited for that fight. Can Dricus withstand the onslaught of Khamzat Chimaev, or will he succumb like many others have before him? That'd be a great fight. Really excited for that fight. Honestly, I don't know. Because, like, if Robert Whittaker won, he already has a loss to Dricus. And you had Strickland, who was, immediately got a win and then said, I want to fight for the title next. But then Izzy got the shot, and then he still said he wants to fight for the title. Khamzat really didn't take any damage. So if they want to book Dricus in, like, January or February, you could throw. I'm more excited to see Khamzat versus Dricus than Strickland versus Dricus. Even though I thought Strickland won the first fight, I think the Khamzat fight would be way more exciting. And then in the meantime, Strickland can either wait, sit it out, and fight the winner of that fight, or if you want to book him versus, you could do him and Izzy too. That would be a fun fight. Him versus Chimaev too. That would be another fun fight, because Chimaev's kind of on a hot streak and he needs like one solid win to get him a title shot. So those would be some good options as well. But yeah, picked it perfectly. Moving on, the main event. I was not crying or anything like that. It was just sad. I really wanted Max to win. I knew Ilya had the power, the one-shot KO power. Now, he didn't completely turn his lights off like he did with Volk. Volk was out. Max was still awake, but barely. Like, what was it, like a left hand in the third round? Let's go how I scored it up until that point. First round, Max landing the jab, good jabs, good 1-2s, good kicks to the body. I edged out the first round for Max. It was a very close, competitive first round, but I gave Max Holloway the first round. Ilya does briefly get a takedown in the first round. Max gets up within a minute, I think it was. Do they have control time on here? Let's see. They don't have control time. But he's not down for very long. So I edged the first round for Max. Round 2, Ilya's starting to land better shots. Especially, Max had his moments in round 2, but Ilya wasn't landing anything super devastating where I thought, the fight's about to be finished. But he clearly landed the better shots in round 2. Max was giving him some good jabs, though. Good 1-2s. He was there to fight, that's for sure. Going into that third round, I thought, okay, it's 1-1 going into the third round. And Max was doing good in the third round. But then Ilya started landing good shots. And I'm trying to think how to describe it. You can tell, I can tell, when in the first 2 rounds, Ilya's going off on combinations. And let's say on his 4th punch, which would be his power punch. I'm just making up the order of punches. Let's say the 4th punch for Ilya is the knockout blow, and he's off by like an inch. He's just barely missing because he's trying to find that timing. Well, he made the adjustments so that in the third round, when he got to that 4th punch, he made those adjustments way faster against Volkanovski. He made that adjustment. It took him longer to make that adjustment because I think if Max and Volk fought now, I think Max would probably beat him. Not like immediately right now, but if this was Max Holloway and Volk 4 instead of Ilya, I think after Volk has been knocked out twice, I think he's diminished significantly. He's getting older. He's 35 or 36, I believe. It's just sad. The first time Max Holloway's ever been knocked out. I kind of had a feeling like, I'm a big Max Holloway fan. I really wanted him to win. I really did think he was going to be able to do what Volk couldn't, and that is stay off the fucking cage. Get away from the cage. As soon as you start getting backed up to that cage, you have to get out of it. You have to pivot and get out of there. Because if Ilya lands a clean shot, he's going to at least wobble you, if not drop you like he did to Max, and then finish him up with ground and pound. I'm going to be 100% honest. You know what? Let's do this real quick. Let's look at the featherweight rankings. I don't think there's anybody. So, they're going to do the rematch with Volk. He's going to knock Volk out again. I don't think Volk is going to... I think at range, Volk is a better fighter than Ilya Topuria. I think he could leg kick and jab Ilya to a decision. Same with, I think Max could. But I think Ilya is too good at figuring you out, closing that distance, backing you up against the cage, and finding that KO shot. He's too good at it. I don't think Volk's I think he's going to get knocked. He's got to be perfect for 5 rounds, just like Max had to be. And they both couldn't do it. He's going to knock Volk out again. The only person that I could see beating him is Diego. And he's going to have to knock Ilya out. Ilya can be knocked out. He's been hit with, I think, was it twice in the UFC where he was hit with a head kick and dropped? I think it was twice. One of them might have been outside of the UFC, and one of them might have been in the UFC. But the Lopez fight, how that's going to go, either one of them's getting knocked out. Either Lopez, because I don't favor him over, I favor Ilya over Lopez in a 5-round fight if it's going to go the distance. But Lopez has that one punch KO power. He has that power to be able to put someone's lights out. Similar to Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett also does, but he got absolutely decimated by Ilya Topuria. But I think Lopez is good with the grappling as well. So, which, I mean, I guess he really didn't use it that much in this last two fights. But I think Lopez would be the only slimmer of hope to get that little bitch Ilya Topuria knocking out my 2 favorite fighters back to back. It was sad, that's for sure. But yeah, that's that. That was UFC 308. What did you guys think of it? What did you think of UFC 308? Let me know in the comment section down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Drop a like, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.